how will Steve Witkoff's meetings with Israeli Defense Minister Israel Katz affect the current situation?
Good evening to you and to the viewers. I think that the U.S. administration is linking the Gaza file in particular to its projects in the Middle East region. And they're trying to balance the support for Netanyahu and their interests on the other hand in the region, and they increase the support for Netanyahu for their own interests, especially the Republican administration that are supporting Netanyahu because they helped before the U.S. and they will help even more, and they will involve more in the Middle East. They are trying to address the nuclear Iranian file without overlooking the Russian-Ukrainian file as well. In this sense, the U.S. administration will try to place Netanyahu in the context of continuing the agreement and to the second and third phases to push for political projects instead of military approaches. Netanyahu will try to create chaos in Gaza and try to take control over the West Bank, and in best case scenario he will keep the Hamas movement instead of the PLO that he does not want to be in office. He does not want a unified Palestinian system to rule under the PLO or any involvement towards the two-state solution.
So how does the humanitarian situation in Gaza influence international diplomatic efforts like the one Steve Witkoff is overseeing?
These humanitarian efforts are trying to provide the relief or provide a minimum of relief efforts to the population, but the Netanyahu government are providing more and more obstacles by the day, straining the access to the aid and relief, knowing that the north of Gaza, for example, is completely uninhabitable without water, electricity, hospitals, schools, nothing of the infrastructure to base the essential life services. He is trying to create this unattractive environment to push the people to evacuate to the south or to outside of Gaza, as Egypt stands as an opposer to these evacuation or displacement schemes.
Yes, I want you to elaborate, sir, on this point. I want you to elaborate more on Egypt's approach to rejecting settlement expansion, annexation, and displacement.
In fact, Egypt is addressing this issue on two levels. At a political levels related to the rights of the Palestinian people since 70 years, and the national security level in the same context, as well as a humanitarian level as well. In the political level, the military approaches since before 1967 and 1948 till today have not paid off, even for the Israeli occupations, and despite that the military confrontation did not bring any political settlements except in 1973, and it resulted in the Camp David Accord and the agreement with Jordan, and the political approach won over the military approach. The far-right government does not want that. At the humanitarian level, Egypt sees that the solution is not displacement. It is only the political approach providing relief and reconstruction. It is unwavering Egyptian situations, stressing the fundamentals of this cause at the Middle East level, at the political and humanitarian and ethical levels. Egypt does not want to repeat the tragedy and the Nakba and the aggregated scene of conflict for the Arabs. 58 years of this international organizations which considered these lands occupied since 1967, and therefore they are pushing for implementing resolutions 424 on the borders of 1967. Egypt is playing these roles with unwavering commitment. The president was very clear today that he will not compromise or involve Egypt in assaulting or evacuating the Palestinian population. He considers the Palestinian cause is one of the top priorities on the Egyptian agenda, in line with Saudi Arabia, which placed the two-state solution on the negotiations table in exchange for normalization.
So can you explain Egypt's historical role in the ongoing efforts to achieve Palestinian statehood?
Since 1948, Egypt entered into a war with Israel. This war has not stopped till 1973, the year of October. So it approached the military way and paid martyrs and injured of the Egyptian people, tens of thousands of Egyptians. And at the political level and even in Camp David Accords, there were files regarding the Palestinian cause. If only it weren't for the Arab disagreement that happened back then. Egypt has always provided humanitarian and political support to Palestine in 5 wars the Gaza Strip has been through with the occupier. Egypt has always been a key actor, not as a mediator only, and especially for the Palestinian citizen, but as a partner. Egypt is playing different integral roles and is still fulfilling these roles and trying to mobilize the Arab world to place joint visions to push for peace and for peaceful approaches. But unfortunately, the occupying force, and since 2002, the Killed Arab Initiative has been rejecting this political approach. But I think that if Trump listened carefully and attentively to the Arab allies, especially Egypt and Saudi Arabia, he will play an integral part in this settlement. Not necessarily in line with the Palestinian aspiration, but eventually he will stop the bloodshed, he will stop the genocide, and will launch new horizons for peace that may create or establish an independent Palestinian state.